Hey, what's going on there, Podcast PD people? This is Chris and AJ. We're about to record episode 155, if I'm not mistaken.
155.
155. All right. This is the part of the show that lives here on YouTube but doesn't make it into the podcast piece until we do the things that we do. So if you're hanging out with us in the chat, let us know where you're hanging out. Could be YouTube, could be LinkedIn. Thank you for watching, and we're going to talk about educator burnout tonight. You excited, buddy?
Oh yeah, that's a great topic to talk about.
Yeah, we love burnout.
We love burnout.
Fire. No.
Talk about, we love it. We love all of it.
Yes, we love all the things. All right. I think, yeah. All right, yeah. This is all right, here we go.
Let's do it.
Coming up on episode 155 of Podcast PD, AJ and I are going to put out the fire of burnout. Let's start the show. This is Podcast PD, the show that provides you with anytime, anywhere professional development. Our conversations and guests will provide you with the learning you might get in a faculty meeting or on a PD day. Except you're going to have more fun with AJ Bianco and me, Chris Nesi. Let's start the show. Welcome to Podcast PD. My name is Chris Nesi, and I'm joined as always by the podcast paisan, AJ Bianco. What's going on, buddy?
Christopher, what's going on? Glad to get this episode going with you. I think we have a great topic here that is important for everybody within a school.
Oh yeah, it is by far something that is definitely top of mind for educators, new, old, 1 year, 10 years. Burnout is real.
Yeah, man. Without a doubt.
Want to thank people joining us live here on a Sunday night. Even if you're listening to this after the fact on the podcast side, we do record the show live at the end of the month. Now, not to date the episode, but weather got in the way last week, so here we are on Sunday, March 1st. And thank you for checking us out. What's up to Josephine Hunt, checking us out on YouTube. And, Dan Thomas, Coach Thomas. I didn't recognize the YouTube handle, but I recognize the mohawk and the icon. Thanks for checking us out. We're talking burnout tonight. AJ, we can catch up at the end of the episode, but I think it's important that we keep this series going where here in 2026, we're going to try to fix, and if you're watching on YouTube, it's in quotes, air quotes, we're trying to fix education in 2026. And our topic for now is burnout. And thank you for clicking on the clickbaity thumbnail and saying, ooh, they're going to fix burnout. But shocker, we're not really going to fix burnout tonight, because if we did, we would have talked about it a lot sooner and solved this problem a lot sooner. So we need to address it. And I think we need to come up with things that you and I do, and certainly what our community does to combat it. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I think burnout is something that exists in every profession. From here till we both, well, you taught history, I teach history, and, it's always been there. People getting frustrated with their jobs, whatever it is. And what do we do when we get to that point? So where shall we start, my friend?
I don't know. I think maybe a good starting point is I guess a definition. I mean, it's kind of easy to define, but I think overall, just kind of understanding what we talk about the term burnout, what we really mean by that.
All right. So what does do we want to have an official definition, or what does burnout mean to you? What does burnout mean to me? And we kind of meet in the middle.
I think that's the way we should look at it. What does it look like to you? What does it mean? What does it feel like? Any of it, all of it, whatever it comes down to.
All right. I guess we could just kind of jump around. So one thing that burnout means to me is being frustrated with the requirements of my job. And if I'm talking teaching, I'm going to be 14 years where I currently am in just a few weeks, and in education a little bit longer than that. And I get frustrated, and we've talked about some of these things before. I get frustrated by the mundane tasks that have no, and maybe this is where I fall short, no impact on what I do with students.
Can you give an
And
example? What's something? What's something that give
oh,
us an example?
just a few things that come to
Yeah,
mind.
yeah,
And again, at this point in my career, these are things I really don't care about and just ignore. um,
fair.
things like dress code,
Mm,
right? Is that going to lead me to want to hate my job and leave education and go another route with my life? No, but I know there's people that deal with it, right?
hmm.
Um, I'll be honest at this point, super formal district lesson plan templates,
True.
uh, not going to cause me burnout, but it frustrates me. People who don't know how to use the BCC versus writing an email to everybody and then everybody gets copied. Again, not going to burn me out, but look, it's just all these little things that frustrate you about your job that when you look at it, you're like, why am I doing this? Why do I continue to do this? Right? Or here's a more practical example, teacher
Hmm.
to administrator.
Hmm.
You know, having an issue with a student that might be a discipline problem,
Sure.
and you don't see, or a teacher doesn't see what might be effective resolution to a student discipline or behavioral issue from administration, right? We see people talk about this all the time. We had Principal Lamb on, right? 2 years ago now. His whole thing is when you see some of his videos on TikTok, oh, little Johnny's misbehaving. I'm the
Sure.
principal. I'm going to take little Johnny out. Well,
Hmm.
not everybody has a principal like that. And, the kid gets a virtual slap on the wrist and they're back in class. Or if anything happens at all. So, again, for me, just to summarize, all the little things that frustrate you about your job that individually, not enough to push you out the door. But collectively, you're like, what am I doing with my career and my life?
Yeah, it's that constant buildup, right? It's that frustration. It's that emotion that you put into it that you're not finding that part that it's ever going to end, right? It's just absolute exhaustion, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's the exhaustion of everything around you. You know, it just continues to add up, and because it doesn't go away, I think that's where things become difficult. Like lesson plans, as you said, is definitely something that stands out, right? Formal lesson plan. Like, yes, should you have a plan? Should you know what you're doing? Obviously, but like a formal lesson plan, is that always very necessary? No. A thing that stands out to me also, like when you think about observations, you know, the time that you take to do the pre conference and the observation, like, is that paperwork absolutely necessary? Because if you hand that into somebody, are they reviewing it for completion or they're reviewing it to have a conversation? I don't like to require that paperwork because it's extra work for you, plus the lesson planning, plus the preparation. I just want to have that conversation straight up with my staff that if we're doing an observation, it's one less thing off their plate. We can have the conversation as our pre-conference. I don't need paperwork, right?
I'm going to agree. So I
Go ahead.
just sorry, with just that topic, pre-conferences, valuable. What you just said, the paperwork, whether it's
Paperwork.
physical or digital, if you
Sure.
submit it through your something or other, that's not necessary because just you don't need to write it down. Again, if I come in to talk to Mr. Bianco about my observation, that's going to happen. You're going to ask me questions. Why do I need to write it down? Why do we need to type it up?
I would rather I'd rather have if you want to, if some staff, I understand they want to do it because it helps them with how they're going to communicate their lesson. They don't want to forget anything. Fine. If you want it as your note keeping, nothing wrong with that. But like the conversation to me is more important because now in New Jersey with the state requirements for observations, we don't even technically have to have a pre-conference with a tenured teacher. But I think it's actually important to have at least some kind of conversation. Shoot me an email just so I know what you're doing, which is not a hard thing. Just I asked for three things. I asked, give me your objective, give me something you want me to look out for, and give me one thing that you're gonna be proud of throughout the entire observation, and then we can have the conversation based on that. But, you know, we talk about burnout. All of this adds up, right? And I think it's not just education. We understand that. So if you're watching this or listening to this as somebody who's not in education anymore, like, we know, like, everything around us is changing. The daily lives are changing. The cell phones, the computers make things a little bit more difficult for us. But in education, I think it's very easy to say that emotionally, mentally, physically, we are burning out quickly and becoming exhausted quickly because of all the things that you have to do, all the extras, right? Yeah. We get this profession for the kids and to educate children and help them become better people. But then you throw in all the extra paperwork and all the extra nonsense that doesn't make a difference. And now the different student behaviors, you know, some that are easily controlled and some that are not, you know, and it all adds up and just takes away from what a normal day should look like for an educator.
Let me ask you this. So far, we've talked about teacher burnout.
Mm-hmm.
You're an administrator.
I am.
I've never been one. I've worked with administrators.
Mm-hmm.
What does burnout look like for you? Or, I mean, you have your peers, right? You talk to other admin in your district, and you attended conferences. So, and we've talked to admin.
Absolutely.
What burns you out?
What exactly in my day, my week burns me out?
Well, either for you specifically or for an administrator, right? Because it's not the same. So far, you've agreed that some of the things that administrators ask teachers to do can cause teacher burnout. What about through the lens of the admin?
So I'm going to say, like, this is just for me, right? I think it's very similar to an educator, right? I think it's really having the expectation for me. Okay, let's do this. Having the expectation of, I'm going to walk into my building and my notebook has XYZ plan on it, right? I have an observation. I'm going to be in the lunchroom. I'm going to do it, all the things that I want to do in the day. And then bam, everything is derailed rather quickly because of a student issue or a parent email or something that happened after school that's coming into the school that, like, is beyond I'm not gonna say beyond our control, that now has just derailed everything else I wanted to do because that is your priority, not my priority, right? How can I fix what has happened somewhere else so that the child experiences a good day within our care, right? I think when that kind of stuff happens, and you know, what do we say? And a lot of people we say, and they agree, it's 10% of the kids that take up 90% of our time. You know, and it's always constant. It's always the same thing. So, you know, I think for me, and you know me, Chris, and this is not a lie, everything weighs heavily on me. So if a staff member is unhappy, or if a staff member is experiencing problems, or a student I know is experiencing problems, it weighs on me because I want that person to feel right. And I want them to feel like they're going to have a great day. And when I know things are not going well, in my mind, automatically, what's my first thought? How can I fix this? How can I make it better? When I can't, you know, some things are just beyond our control. You know, I think for me, another thing that kind of leads me to burnout, you know, if we can put up Kevin Carroll's message right here, burnout to me is losing the mindset that tomorrow will be better. That is so true as an administrator, because every day I'm going in the morning like, okay, what am I going to have to continue to handle that I didn't finish yesterday? You know, or I handled that yesterday, but now it's going to come back in a different way today. Or that student behavior, that student comes back in the building today, you know, after a detention or a suspension. Like, how do I have to deal with that student? Like, it's always that mindset of now what, or what's next, you know? And sometimes that constant on the go and just like the wheels continuing to turn, that really leads to like mental exhaustion very quickly.
And Kevin's comment, Kevin Carroll, not just for admin, that's anything.
Yep.
Right. And again, he says burnout to him is losing the mindset that tomorrow will be better. Now, I got to be honest. There have been times where I'm like, Why am I doing what I do? Does it make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody has been there in their career, in their profession, right? But how do you get past that? Why am I still doing what I'm doing?
Sure.
Amongst the frustrations, whether it's students who frustrate, or parents, or colleagues, or administrators. Like, there are so many, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, there's so many pain points in education.
Okay.
Right? Why do we keep putting ourselves in front of the slings and the arrows, I guess, as teachers, as administrators?
Yeah.
Right? You know, we look all around. I mean, education is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we know that there's a world outside of New Jersey, and we address it from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But
This is what we know.
This is what we know, right? I mean, we got districts in New Jersey that are millions of dollars in debt. Do you think it's easy to be a teacher in those communities? Do you think it's easy to be an administrator or a part of the board of ed? No. Yeah. Right? There's a district here near me. Last year, they said they were going to close 3 schools. And the community came out and said, no, do not close 3 schools. And they accepted a 10% increase in their taxes. And now,
just to avoid that,
they're closing the 3 schools. They're closing 3 schools this year.
Right.
But they're not going to lower taxes. So, I mean, I don't know if that fully fits into this, but it's this idea that it's just something else that, you know, those are additional questions that teachers are going to have to face.
Right.
Administrators are going to have to answer.
Yeah. And it's happening here in Bergen County, you know, and like, if you know anything about Bergen County is pretty much an affluent area. The entire county has money. They have great schools. And like around here, we have schools near us that have to cut 25 teachers, schools around us that are millions of dollars in deficit. And like, what does that mean for the kids? What does that mean for someone's livelihood? Like that, like you talk about, like, is it even worth it anymore? How about those teachers? You know, they're sitting there every day trying to make a difference and wondering, like, is tomorrow the day that I might get riffed? Is tomorrow the day that, you know, and then what? Even if it is tomorrow, then you're going to keep showing up to work, because a lot of people don't have that mentality that I'm going to keep going for you.
Right. And
you know, like this goes right here. This comment right here by Tech Ed Clubhouse: not being treated as professional and trusted to your job. Like I know it's years in the making now, but you go to a doctor's office and you ask your doctor what's wrong. They give you an answer. You go, I don't think so, doc. That's not how I'm feeling. Right? You're still going to take that medicine. You're still going to take that pill when it's prescribed to you.
Well, you know, this is something I know I've said in the past here. You know, tell me another profession where you are hired based on your potential for greatness, and you're evaluated based on what you're not doing. Right? Whether you're a teacher or an administrator, you know, you got hired as an administrator for the potential they saw in you to be an administrator. But I'm sure you get observed, you get evaluated.
Sure do.
And I'm sure it's not always, hey, here's everything you're doing great as the principal. Right? I'm sure they're telling you things you got to do better.
In that one moment of what you saw.
Yes.
Right? That one question that got me flustered or whatever it might be. Right?
Yeah. Want to bring up Jenna's comment, Jenna Triano. And I don't know if this is burnout or the definition of insanity. I think there's a crossover. Burnout is feeling like you are encountering the same problems over and over on repeat and feeling out of ideas of ways to solve them. That's powerful.
That's a good way to put it. Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. You know, and then Chris, you said something like, obviously everybody knows my wife is an educator as well, right? So this is the first year that I'm hearing, not just from her, but from several other teachers, that like our students have no motivation to learn. There's no passion for learning. You know, they're not putting the work in. Their grades are slipping. You know, and like one of my teachers said it to me, and I hate to think like it's a reflection on me. I know it's not. It's a reflection on the students. But like one of the teachers, like, I've never had this many kids fail my class before. And like, it sucks because then I got to figure out what do I do for those kids? But like, what are we doing for the kids, period? Because these kids don't want to learn, right? Well, I'm sorry. Not that they don't want to learn. They don't want to learn what's being put in front of them. They want to learn what they want to learn. And that's why schools are completely behind times right now. Completely.
I think we started to talk about this in our last episode.
Sure.
That the model of school here in 2026 is doing a great disservice to
Yep.
the modern student.
Mm-hmm.
The way we do school, and this is, again, if you want to get more of this, go back to episode 154. But, in summary, and again, still go listen to it. Please download and subscribe.
Please.
If we were still trying to pump these kids to leave school after getting their 5th through 8th grade education to go work in a factory and support the war effort, we are on track for that, right? Something we didn't talk about in the last episode was the fact that, we do all this data analysis K through 12, and then we do not care about them. So long as you get that diploma and shake the superintendent's hand and walk across the stage, after that, good luck. We got nothing and want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And we talked about, the example of, the kid who's in 5th grade and wants to be a fireman. There's nothing that's going to promote or help that kid pursue that. It's going to get squashed out when it comes time to do the state test.
Right. There you go.
Kevin says in the chat that his process is recreate yourself. Go ahead, take it away. I'm sorry, I'll put it up.
It's all good. There it is.
Recreate yourself, look in the mirror, and hold yourself accountable with grace. I'd love to hear more about this grace thing, because I think a lot of us are very hard on ourselves, right? And I think, I can speak for me. I have a high bar for myself, and I try to set a high bar for my students. And I cannot stand, I don't know if this is staying on track with teacher burnout, but I cannot stand when I see other professionals lower the bar. Or have not a care in the world for standards to be upheld. I don't mean your common core crap.
Yeah,
I mean just like
behavior and attendance issues and lateness.
Behavior, academics, just how to be a decent human being, right? And Kevin says we learn, we reflect, we move forward to help and make things better for yourself and others.
Yeah. And look, this hits everybody, right? So, and like, there is no answer. There is no answer. There's no quick fix. We're not going to sit here and we're not going to say, if you do this, it's going to work, because it's not going to work, right? Because I know Kevin personally, and Kevin brings the energy. Kevin brings passion. Kevin brings a strong culture to his school, right? But I'm sure there's some days where all of that just goes by the wayside because it's just not time. It's not the right time for that, because that's not going to help the academic problem or the kid who's vaping in the bathroom. Like all of those things are what's going to drive Kevin crazy, right? So while he's saying, you need grace for yourself, and that's a word that, like, I think we all have to practice. You said, where is this grace thing? And like, you're hard on yourself. I'm hard on myself. Your students are probably hard on you. My staff's hard on me, and they're hard on each other. And like, it's just that continuous vicious cycle, right? Because as you said, we all have expectations for our classes, but then on the outside, when those kids leave, our staff has the same or harder expectations for the same kids as they move throughout the building, right? And when they don't get it from that teacher, or when the teacher gets a bad report that those expectations weren't met, then we get right back to where we were, right? So that vicious cycle of everything just continuously piling on, so we can't actually do our job the way we want to do our job, sucks, and that's hard.
I love Jocelyn's comment. Jocelyn is watching on Facebook. She says, I would love to walk into my high school class and ask students what they want to learn, and then modify the content I'm required to teach so it relates to them. Any thoughts on how this can be done? Has anyone had any success? I can speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you believe in those 4 C's, like there's
a fifth
core.
one too. Again, so
excuse me. Go ahead.
High school history teacher, and my class is not about history, right? I focus on collaborating, communicating, creating, and critical thinking. Those are the 4 skills that I instill in my 9th grade world history students. I do not give up whether or not they can tell me anything about world history, right? I am not getting my students ready to play Jeopardy. Okay? I use history. I use the content to promote them doing these 4 things. Again, create, communicate, collaborate, critical thinking. And my 5th C is to build community. That
Yeah.
each class I work with, and I teach 6 classes, 3 a day, block scheduling. It's a beautiful thing. Building community within each of the groups I work with. Each class has its own personality. We know that, from day one of deciding to be a teacher. So now the plus side is, in the state of New Jersey, social studies is not a standardized tested subject. I don't think if I had become a math teacher, I could not care if my kids knew the math or not. But then again, math is also something you can see kids get, right? History, yeah, the light bulb goes on sometimes, but using history to do other things makes it possible for me to be able to walk into my classroom and I could talk about anything I want with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I do the same thing at Rutgers, right? So I'm able to give students a lot more control, whether they know they have the control or not, right? I'm kind of like a magician as well as a teacher, right? Sometimes they think they have choice, but I've made a decision, and sometimes they can steer the class in a direction I did not think it would go. Let me get off my soapbox.
No, dude, it's your podcast. You're allowed to say whatever you want to say.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But look, I think that's huge, right? Because like that's the shift, and that's why we're really focusing on this topic now as we go into 2026, because you see it, I see it, and I think we've been seeing it for 6 years now, coming out of COVID. Like, how excited were we that like the technology is there? We're going to change the way kids think. We're going to be able to get rid of just looking at a textbook. We're going to let kids communicate and collaborate and be creative so that they can create something that's meaningful, right? But then we look at it and like, maybe we're not doing well enough on the test. Maybe we have to go back. And then we revert to everything that we were doing before COVID, but now with technology, right? And like, this is something that like we haven't talked about, but I'm going to kind of press you on this one. With the use of technology, is this burning out educators in a way? Because now they feel like they have to continuously use technology because they can't go back to old ways of pen and paper. Is that something that's causing issues? And
well,
then
no, hold on. I'm going to stop you. So there's now a big push to go back to analog styles of learning, which
right.
I'm sorry, I'm going to call BS on.
Thank you.
Right? I think that's just an opportunity for the teachers who struggle to instruct using technology to backtrack to when they didn't use it.
But I also think it's an excuse that that's just too much technology. It's like, no, it's not like, yes, they have this. The kids are using this. I get it. They're all over the place. But like when they're using the computers in front of them, they should not just be staring at a computer. You're there. That's a tool. You're the instructor. You don't want to lose your job to AI? Don't let them stare at a computer for 45 minutes. All right, back in a month, everybody. See ya.
You have Dan's comment up here. Information and knowledge are no longer the premium in education. Knowledge is at their fingertips. We need to create thinkers and problem solvers. Yes.
Let's keep going with Dan. Dan's got another one right here.
Create ways to make learning visible through hands-on learning. Yeah. Right? And I think a lot of that, at least my approach using technology, is trying to get my students to create things where I am not the sole audience that they're producing content for.
And here's the last one from Dan.
Want to see learning in action? Go visit the band room, basketball practice, or the musical director. Magical things happen in the loud, organized chaos places of the school.
Chaos, man. I was going to say that was my classroom then, and that was it. I don't know. We're so worried. Data, right? Math scores are not where they are. The ELA scores are good, but we need to do better. They're not spelling well. They're not writing. They don't know grammar. They can't read, blah, blah, blah. We can't fix all that in one day. Right?
No, but you know what I will say is you also can't wait to fix it till your students are in high school.
Okay. Yeah.
I think more concerted efforts need to be made. And again, I hate doing this because I remember becoming a teacher and they said, college professors blame the high school teachers blame the middle school blames elementary, and elementary blames the parents. But if you're waiting till 9 through 12 to fix a lot of these issues in students, it's too late.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're much closer to being an adult who is set in their ways than being a truly moldable piece of clay in the very primary grades.
Sure.
Right? So if they're not getting those basic skills, they need, if I'm a supervisor, director, superintendent, whatever, I need to look at what is, if I'm unhappy with test scores in high school, I need to look at what's going on in middle school and elementary school, because it's too late.
Yeah.
And I think we went way off the rails from burnout.
No, but I don't think we.
But these are the things that burn us out, because
and that's
these are the things I talk about with my colleagues.
And that's what I was just going to say. That all of this goes together, right? Because we're trying to all fix the big issue, and it's not going to be a fix. And unfortunately, it's not always going to be in the school. It's going to be what's trickling down, what we're told to do, right? I think all the principals know. Well, I shouldn't say that. You know, I was listening to a podcast today, right? And I think when you think about leadership, that shift of leadership is probably in full swing, right? You're getting away from those leaders who are demanding, and the leaders who are just gruff, and the leaders who want what they want, and they want everything their way. And you're getting more into the servant leader, right? You're getting into that servant leader who then wants to transform a school and transform a culture. And I think more people are starting to realize, like, this is going to be gone at any moment. You know, if you're not serving your people, your best ones are going to walk. You know, so I think that the shift in leadership is in the schools, and I think the leaders are starting to see more of what the staff needs, and they're allowing them to, you know, take the time to go get that doctor's appointment, or take the time to go be with their families, or get rid of that meeting and give an extra prep, or whatever example you want to give that fits your daily schedule. And that helps, like, a little bit. You know, it's not just the jeans passes and snacks here and there. It's got to be from that state level, and it's got to be from even the district level, where we can take a little bit off everyone's plate, just to make it a little bit easier every day.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a but there. Go ahead.
I'm trying to, no, it's not a but. I wanted to say, to the rough, gruff leader that you described, my way or the highway, and I got all the answers. Mm-hmm. To that leader, if you're listening to this podcast, and odds are you're not, but if you are, and you're that type of leader, go away. Leave the profession. Right? We need what you talked about, the servant leader, the one who, and we've talked about this before, holds on to the humanity of the fact that teachers teach humans, leaders lead humans. We're all people. We are not data points. Sure. Our students aren't data. They produce it, right? Mm-hmm. Teachers are not data. We produce it, mm-hmm. right? The idea of buy the book. Who wrote the book? What book? Can we burn that book? Can we ban that book?
Absolutely.
I love the idea of servant leadership. And I've been fortunate in my career to work with some leaders who viewed leadership that way, and I have worked with leaders who have not.
Of course.
Or I mean, maybe they thought they did, but they were not really effective at it. I'm going to be honest. You know.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a lot of people chatting in here. And again, if you are listening to this on the podcast side, come out and hang with us on the last Sunday of the month, or if it snows, it's the first Sunday of the next month. Let's see. Jocelyn, I will summarize this because it's a lot. Loves the 5 C's, math teacher. Thus, I have to provide content for standardized tests. But I would love to do away with the standardized test. Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right.
Do away with the standardized tests. Math can be done with AI. So how important is it to... Well, I mean, I've talked to math teachers about AI. And yes, there are apps out there where a kid can take a photo of an algebra 1 problem and it's going to spit out the answer. But where AI could be powerful, I'll go a little tangent here, where AI can be powerful in something like math, really for any educator, AI has endless patience. If you can teach students how to actually chat with an LLM about content, to ask questions, to ask for help, and not just get the answer, the AI will come up with example after example after example after example, so on and so forth. Whereas eventually your block of time ends with them. You can't go home with your students to answer their questions. So AI certainly has a place. If you want more on tech and AI, Jocelyn, go check out House of Ed Tech, chrisnesi.com. You had something here. Kevin loves the 4Cs model, but what does that work for US 1 teachers? Could your model being frustrating / burning out other teachers?
I think he's saying based on what you do.
Uh-huh.
While it works for you, does it work for other teachers the same way? Are they gonna, are those kids gonna fall behind? It works for you. Is it gonna,
what?
Well, just in general, is it going to frustrate or burn out other teachers because maybe those kids are not at the same level where the expectations are for that other student? I'm just trying to read into the question. I'm not sure if that's what Kevin means or not, but that's what I'm thinking at least.
No, I mean, because I've spoken with colleagues. So I mean, like for example, again, not every school in New Jersey sequences at 9th grade world history, then US 1, then US 2. Some schools it's US 1, US 2, then world history.
Yeah.
If I'm reading Kevin's
right
statement correctly. But I've spoken with colleagues and they know what I do with the project-based classroom. And I freely, no tests, no quizzes. I do DBQs. I have them answering questions. They're reading, they're annotating. They are engaged with the content. I'm just not assessing them based on what do they know about history.
I dig it.
I don't know if that's exactly where he was going, but yeah.
That's okay. All right. I'm going to hit you with a couple questions.
Fire away.
All right. Again, we're not looking to solve the problem, but I'm going to ask you these questions. And while our listeners have these questions, this should be something that sits on their minds too, right? So I want you to think about the last time your work was energizing. See, now for you, it might be different because I think you do a lot that kind of makes your day great for you. Right.
I in some regards, I do put in the effort to make my own sunshine.
I mean, your Zebra podcast, I think, is definitely your passion project, right?
I do the podcast with students, whether or not they show up, I'm there doing it. So I'm having fun getting to school at 6:30 in the morning, right? Doing that.
You love that.
I have so many bright spots in my day.
Okay.
Right. I mean, my school doesn't utilize the lockers because we have way more students than we have lockers. So I'm also part-time coat check guy where I have 15 kids who over the course of the morning come to drop their bag, their jackets, their sweatshirts, whatever, and in different spots in my classroom. Right. I need to get one of them little things where I could spin it around and accept tips. Right. It's being out in the hallway. Right. I'm a teacher who stands at his door during passing time. And the fist bumps, the high five, seeing the former students. I mean, I got this student. I never taught this student. I don't know the student's name, but this student walks past me every day and says, "Hi, Mr. Nesi." I have no idea who the hell the kid is.
Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. All right. On the flip side, educators and Chris, for you, when I guess I'll reword this a little bit. When does our job start feeling heavy for you, or heaviest?
For me, and I try to tell kids I'm not going to care more than they do, but I do care more than they do.
Of course.
When I see students who are not living up to what I think is their true potential.
Ooh.
Now, the nice thing is I work with 9th graders and a lot of it is immaturity.
Sure.
So
of course,
based on my involvement in the school, I do see students. Yeah, maybe you messed up when you were in the 9th grade, but I've seen a lot of students who by the time they're juniors and seniors, they have matured. and they have figured some things out,
Mhm.
and they have found success, and they are on a better path. And
Beautiful.
I just wish I could get more kids to figure it out while I have them as my students formally,
Mhm.
but it is a consolation prize to some degree that I do see many kids figure it out because they grow up.
Beautiful. How long have you been in education now?
I
18?
count student teaching, so I'm going to go back to
Yeah.
fall 2007.
Okay. All right. So this is year 21 for me, right? So the question,
Yeah.
I guess, like, what do you think has changed most in those 20 years? Is it us as educators? Is it the job as an educator? Or is it the entire system of education?
I think it's the world around education, and I think it's mostly the world. Education has not kept up with the world, and the world is moving. I don't want to say faster than education, but the world is moving to the beat of a different drum. Like
Okay.
education is drumming and the world is drumming, but it's not the same beat. So I think there's a huge disconnect between the world we're trying to get kids ready for and
Yeah.
how we're doing it. And
Yeah.
what, if I hope I'm not making it more confusing.
No, I get what you're saying. Like how long have we said we got to prepare our kids for the world doesn't exist yet, right? But how are we doing that when we're still doing the same damn thing we've been doing since the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s? Like, how are we preparing them for the jobs that don't exist? But we're just keeping sit down at your desk, take notes, look at the board. Can you write that down for me? Can you solve this? Here's
I
an
mean,
ed puzzle. Like, what are we doing? What are we
right.
doing?
I mean, I also teach at the university level, right? And I've been there. This is my 10th year teaching at the college level, right? And I still get students when they're seniors in the capstone experience course who they're about to step out into the world. And I give them freedom that they're, 21, 22, 23 years old. And I give them freedom that they have never experienced in their educational careers at any level,
And
where
mostly,
some of them
what
are
are
at
they?
that
What
age and
year
they
are they?
still want, say it again, they're
What
seniors,
year are they? But
seniors
it's only seniors.
in this one particular class. Occasionally there might be a
So,
junior, but,
okay, but think about that. You're saying exactly what it is, right? This is the most freedom they've had in all of their education. Their
and they
junior
don't
and
know what
senior
to
of
do with it.
college.
They
Yeah.
don't know what to do with it. They still want to be spoon fed and have their hand held. You know how many dearest Professor Nesi emails I get a week?
Yeah. From their parents, from the kids.
Oh, I've only had one parent contact me and I laughed that out of the ballpark. Uh, no, it's just trying to make excuses. And I'm sorry. Take your excuses and send them somewhere else. I got no time for that.
I get it, man.
Right. Oh, I love this comment from Dan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kids don't come to school to watch us work.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say with that one.
Ooh, love it. Okay, so here, Dan's got a question for us.
Mm-hmm.
Why do kids come to school?
Because they're forced to.
Yep, it's compulsory.
That's all. That's all we've said to them. You have to go to school. Why? I don't know. All I know is if you don't go to school, I'm gonna get a phone call, and then more absences that add up, the cops are gonna come looking for you and looking for me. So that's all I know. Like, why? Why? I don't know.
I mean, being at the high school level, I do encounter students that talk about I'm only here until I turn 60 and like they cannot wait to drop out or pursue other opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, some of them, that's the right move. Cuz yeah, as valuable as a high school diploma is, you might not be ready to put in the work to do that right now. Maybe it's coming back to it. Maybe a district has some type of alternative program, right? Where the student who can't make it 7:30 to 2:30, maybe they're better served 4:30 to 8:30 at night.
Those BOCES programs in New York, man, those are killer. Those are great for kids. Stop telling kids they ought to be the same. Don't put them in a box.
Yeah. right? Think of some of the requirements. I don't know. I mean, I know that there are schools in the state where filling out the FAFSA is a graduation requirement.
Yeah,
Why?
that's rough.
Why?
Right. Just because. Just because.
That's the dumbest reason you could answer a question.
Yeah.
That is one step above a kid who just shrugs their shoulders when you ask him a question. Just because. That ranks up there with, well, that's the way we've always done it.
And there you go.
That don't make it right. Oh, the game of school. Dan, you're on fire tonight. That's where their friends are.
Mm-hmm. And it's the safest place.
Yeah.
He's right. He's right.
I mean, you know that there are schools in this. Again, I can only really speak to high school. There are high schools in this country where there's kids who show up and they don't go to class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They walk in, they walk around, they go home.
Yep.
Man.
So I think, look, as we said at the beginning, we are not going to solve this in one episode and one night. And, no matter how many times you press play on this, we're not going to answer your questions. But I think there's definitely things to think about as we move forward, right? And we're talking
real
about
quick before we move forward. I want to speak a little bit to that. The fact that we did not come on here to claim to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I want anybody watching and listening, be wary and be cautious of those that tell you they've got the solution for burnout, because they don't.
Right.
Especially, and this is my opinion, I'm not speaking for AJ, the people who have made it their job to help you leave education. I understand people got to make money, but I don't like those that prey on the frustrated teacher and will take your money to try and teach you that here's how you can go be successful in corporate. Right? Mm-hmm. And I'll also say, my opinion, not AJ's unless he wants to say, yep, I agree. Those who leave formal education, if you go consultant, you go education company, ed tech, whatever. Once you leave the confines of a K-12 district, I don't want to hear from you anymore. Sorry. Not sorry. Because now you're not in it.
Right.
You
it's
left.
A club. It's a club, man.
Well, so is being in yeah.
No, but you're right. Like, look, again, we're not trying to fix it. We're trying to understand it. We're trying to come to the conclusion of like, what is causing burnout? What can we do to at least make it easier on everybody? Right? Like, we care about our kids. We care about this profession, and that's exhausting. We have responsibilities, whether it's 100 kids, 80 kids in your classroom, 700 kids in your entire school, whatever the case may be, that responsibility is exhausting, right? And I think another thing that we didn't really touch on, Chris, I think it's that lack of praise and quote unquote rewards for adults. That's tiring by itself, man, because like, I don't do a great job in my school telling everybody how good they do, how good of a job they do every day. I don't do that. Parents aren't sending emails every day saying, thank you so much. Little Johnny got his first 100, or, oh my God, we went home and read, and he read a whole page by himself, or the book is finished. Like, we don't hear those stories.
Sadly, for the most part, this is a thankless profession.
Yeah.
And outside of Teacher Appreciation Week, which is great. But
sure.
Even then, we have heard stories of schools and districts that fumble that.
Mm-hmm.
They drop the ball on teacher appreciation. Like, even in the one, like pain point.
Yeah.
If Teacher Appreciation Week is the only week you feel the love, that sucks.
Right. And it's in May. Think about that too.
Yeah.
We had to wait that long.
Yes.
It's the truth.
So you know what? I want to give some tips. I want to give something that people can do and take immediate action on. It's not going to solve the whole issue. Here's a couple things. When you go to your school after listening to this episode or watching this tomorrow, the next day, I don't know when you're listening, but thank you. Tell somebody that you appreciate them. If you're an administrator, find a teacher, find a handful of teachers. Just, hey, you're doing a great job. I appreciate what you do. This speaks to what you just said, right? For me, I tell people all the time. I go to my colleagues in my department, out of my department. You know, I'm helping people. I'm high-fiving. I'm fist-bumping. You know, hey, you're doing awesome. Here, you know, whether coaches, right? Hey, congrats on the win. Hey, tough luck, you know, keep doing what you're doing.
Sure.
Right? Spread some positivity. Bring the positivity. And you know what? Another grinding gear point. Talking about it on social media, that's great. But you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Posting inspirational quotes. Wee!
Thank you.
I wasn't taking a dig at you.
Sure you aren't.
No. Go talk to people. Right? If you're in your school right now listening to this as the podcast, stop listening. Go next door. Have a conversation with a colleague that's positive. And then come back. And when they say, why are you telling me this? Say, oh, it's this great podcast called Podcast PD. You should go to podcastpd.com and subscribe and listen.
Hey, look, one thing I'm going to say, you know, I think a lot of people feel the burnout, right? And I think a lot of people use it as feedback to them about what they do each day. If your feedback is that you're just exhausted, just find a way not to quit, right? Because like, even though you're tired, even though you're pushing, the kids need you there, you know? And I think if you're listening to this, you're doing this for the kids, right? You're not doing it. Maybe you love the curriculum. Cool. Great. You can love the curriculum. But I think in the end, you're doing it for the kids. So if you're totally exhausted and the feedback for yourself is, I just can't go on anymore, take a moment, find those positive moments that you can create for yourself, that Chris is saying for himself and what he does every day. Find those people that you trust, find those people that you love, let them know you care, let them know that they're doing a great job. You'll get the same positive feeling that you would if somebody was saying it to you. So don't quit, because that negative feedback is going to push you further away and it's going to do more damage. We still got a long chunk of time left.
I will say this. If you are truly miserable, maybe you do need to have that thought. Maybe quitting is okay. Or pivoting. I don't know.
It happens though, right?
It does. I'm sure people are leaving education left and right. So, yeah.
That's the way it goes, man.
That's the way it goes. All right. Just a couple of things before we put a bow on this episode. One, thank you to those people who came out and joined us live here on podcastpd.com/live, which again, we do record these episodes live at the end of each month. If you are here live and you enjoyed this, please tell some other people. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast piece, podcastpd.com/follow/go/listen. They'll all work. And you can, spread the word about Podcast PD. We would be remiss if we didn't thank our executive producers. So I want to give a big shout out to Stephanie Scrocky. She is currently our lone executive producer. If you got value of this conversation, or you've been listening for a while now, and you get value from this and you want to give some of that value back to AJ and I, consider becoming an executive producer of Podcast PD. Go to podcastpd.com/executive producer. And there's options there, and we give you some stuff. So we want to thank you for listening. And at the very least, share Podcast PD with another educator who would get value from listening or joining us live and contributing in the chat. Dan retired in June after 32 years.
It's a long time.
What's the appropriate sound effect for a retiree? Not because you left, but because you did what you did for 32 years.
32 years. God, 32 years.
I'm jealous. All 7th grade STEM, he said.
You like that, huh?
Yeah. Nah, Dan's a good dude. Love his social media stuff. AJ, you been listening to any podcasts?
I have.
Go on and share. What do you got?
All right.
This is the real podcast PD part.
I was going to say, where's it? There's no music?
No, I have not revamped that segment yet.
All right, that's cool. So, look, I'm a little behind, but I've been listening to the podcast of Lead It Like Lasso, based on the TV show, right?
Okay.
So this is a Ted Lasso rewatch podcast, and it's actually with the authors of the book Lead It Like Lasso. Let's see, the authors are Marnie Stockman and Nick Caniglio. All right. So they wrote the book Lead It Like Lasso based on the TV show, where it kind of goes through all the leadership themes that they've seen. And I believe, and I haven't read the book, like I said, I just listened to the podcast, but I believe a lot of the leadership lessons they're taking from like John Wooden's pyramid of leadership, right? So just to give you the write-up of what they say here, Marnie Stockman, Nick Caniglio, authors of the book Lead It Like Lasso, dig into each episode of Ted Lasso with a lens of leadership. Each podcast starts with a fun, quick clip summary of the episode. Marnie and Nick tie together the leadership principles from Ted Lasso, their own successes, thought leaders, and everyday advice to help individuals level up as they lead themselves and others. I'm a fan of the show. I've been thinking about rewatching the show.
I believe there's another season coming of the show too.
That's one of the reasons why I kind of want to rewatch the show if there's a 4th season coming. So this podcast, I found it pretty good. Like, is it great? No, but I would like to read the book, so I figured I'd start with the podcast. And
I love that. I think I'll read the book, but let me start with the podcast about it first.
Well, because I was trying to get the book and I couldn't get the book. It wasn't available.
Where were you looking to get the book that you could not find it?
The library.
Oh, okay.
The library. It wasn't available. So I was like, what can I do? So I started doing the podcast instead.
Okay. Isn't there that big time bookstore up there up by you in northern New Jersey where a lot of people go inside? There
are a lot of bookstores. Yeah.
Okay.
Andrew Murata will be at that big bookstore later on in March.
Who's going to be there?
Andrew Murata.
Nice.
Yes. So I'm going to try to get there on March 22nd. Cheap plug, Andrew Murata.
There you go. That's not a cheap plug. That's a good plug.
He's my guy.
Here's a cheap plug. Let me, what the hell? Oh man, I messed the whole damn thing up.
You ruined it. You're ruining it.
Got it.
Come on, Christopher. You're a pro.
Got it. We're going to shout out Dan Thomas.
There you go.
He is a podcaster. He hosts the Tech Ed Clubhouse podcast. Here's the description. The Tech Ed Clubhouse explores teaching through the lens of STEM, CTE, and hands-on learning, focusing on curiosity, professional judgment, and designing experiences that make learning feel real again, less compliance, more thinking, built for real classrooms. Dan's a podcaster.
Okay. Let me click on that one.
Check it out.
All right. I got it.
And we'll give a shout out to JT Spotlights. They said hello to you, AJ.
That's my guy. That's Josh Tovar.
Hey! We'll go big time now. Whoa!
Hey, look at us, man.
Yes, we're big. It's like we're watching PTI now.
Just better.
Just better, for sure.
Is that me on your shirt?
Yeah, look, that's AJ.
No, yeah, it's me.
Oh, yeah.
Look at you.
I know I need merch. A shirt.
No,
Podcastpd.com.
That's me.
Yes.
I made Chris's shirt.
No, I made the shirt. You just happen to be on my nipple.
Good night, everybody.
So, all right. We will continue to try to fix education here in 2026. We will be back with our next episode on Sunday, March 29th. I'll be in the heat of spring break. When's your spring break? Before or after Easter?
I'm on this. So that week is my spring break. Yep, the week leading up to. Sorry. You're 29th. I start the 30th.
Okay. So you can do the show on the 29th.
I can.
Excellent.
Can we just make sure the Yankees are not playing?
That's not opening day.
No, opening day would be the Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, April 1st in San Francisco.
No. They're starting in San Francisco on the 25th.
All right. So then we'll get into Classic Podcast PD, where we're talking about education while you're watching baseball to the upper
There we
left.
go. It's actually my right.
Whatever. Anyway.
Can't wait.
Cannot wait. If you're a Yankee baseball fan, check out the Chase for 28 podcast.
We're just
We got some
all
things
these
planned.
podcasts there.
Podcast. Anyway, all right. I'm Chris. He's AJ. We'll be back at the end of March with another trying to fix education topic. Rate and review the podcast. Share the podcast. And we will be back in a month. See you soon.
See you.